hope I didn't scare you too bad, because this week, as you can probably tell, we're talking about Mr. Bungle. I really wanted to talk about this one for a long time because it is absolutely probably one of my favorite, like easily top 5 albums of all time. Though it's very hard to put this one above, say, California. Mostly just because I think California is super duper adult and it just has this bungle madness while also feeling very introspective and seeming very, I don't know, thought provoking. Well, this album is very crazy and zany while having off the wall topics. I love it so much. But who is Mr. Bungle? Well, that would be Mike Patton, better known as the guy from Faith No More. That's right, not Anthony Kiedis. That's no, I joke. I really do love Mike Patton. I think he's up there with some of my favorite singers.
Don't mind me, I'm enjoying a Fago.
He has this zany, wacky voice that really kind of can do a whole bunch of things while accomplishing just being musically, sonically amazing. We also have Trace Prudence and Trevor Dunn, who play a big part in Bungle being as funky as it is. Well, the other members have their other instruments. I feel the core 3 really kind of have this Bungle energy to them. That being said, how did this even get made? Well, Mike Patton, having been, very successful with Faith No More, decided, hey, I've got this weird garage band type thing. Hey, if you let us record an album, I'll keep pumping out more Faith No More. And Warner Brothers was like, sure. And what followed was this. Mr. Bungle really does have a rich history, though, with a lot of the work for this album actually coming from demo tapes. The band is eclectic, with a lot of their later works being almost art piece level. I know Pink Cigarette seemed to have blown up somewhere. I don't really know where, but it definitely deserves it. That's one of the best songs off of California. That being said, this first album is very juvenile, but I don't really mean that in a sort of way to put it down. I think the juvenile nature of this album really kind of paints it in this gross out type. I think what really sticks with this album is John Zorn, who actually produced the album, and I think he really manages to bring all of the chaos of the Carnival into this one concise, sonic, just masterpiece. It feels like an album you're not supposed to listen to, but then you listen to it anyway. It's got that kind of like, oh, I'm gonna sneak and listen to this album, that way my mom doesn't find out feel to it, really. But enough of the nitty-gritty stuff. How about we get into the songs? That's what you're here for. The song ratings. That's, yeah. We start with 30 Seconds of Silence, which is then followed by Glass Breaking, and we're kind of thrown headfirst down this red and white striped pit of hell. It's the way the guitars and the piano sort of convey this sense of dread while still being really funky. It makes me feel like I've ridden way too many carnival rides, and now I'm sitting on this really shitty dark ride pretzel coaster being thrown back and forth, and I'm trying not to throw up and enjoy the show, but I've got this sense of like, ugh. Mike Patton uses this almost, I don't know, I wouldn't say carnival barker because that's a song for later. Maybe lounge singer would probably be a better way to put it. He's got this sort of dynamic, and the music almost seems to kind of form around his voice. The actual substance of the song is actually just a metaphor for John Travolta, with many references to Grease being thrown in. It's actually just told through the story of a quadruple amputee who kind of simply exists, being nothing more than a spectacle, a fleshy, limbless rectangle. The song was actually supposed to be called Travolta, but Warner Brothers was worried about legal trouble, so instead they changed it to title of his pseudo-biography. Perfect. This track is an awesome opener, though, and it really kind of brings you into this haunted house and slams the door right behind you. 9 out of 10. With each of these songs, they end and they have a little bit of mystery, weird ambience to a lot of them. Not all of them have it, but some of them do, and I think it really adds to the album. This one is a trumpet being murdered and then a train.
Like
I really like the message of this track, with our narrator sympathizing with Beethoven, and though he's not actually going deaf, he's becoming more and more dull to the world around him, hearing mindless talk over and over that means nothing. Same thing, in and out, day in and day out, talking to the same people, hearing the same stories. It just kind of all divulges into being nothing more than just ringing in his ears. In the end, he decides to embrace this and just kind of hides away, plugging his ears and just pushing it all away, essentially becoming deaf to the world by choosing not to live in it. Though not necessarily being a suicide metaphor, it is more so just self-isolation. I will say, one thing that I really enjoy about Mr. Bungle, and I don't know a lot of bands that really do it, I don't know how to fully articulate, but when Mike Patton sings, he doesn't really feel like, I don't know, like he comes out on top. Like, this could also be a thing of mixing, but I don't know, generally just the feel of the music too. He seems to almost be just another instrument. The instruments in his voice don't really they complement each other, but one doesn't necessarily go over the other. Mike Patton usually kind of stays like layered back in the track. I also really like how the song kind of shifts back and forth, going from this like slow like to the more like the heavy metal like screaming that Mike would do on earlier Bungle demos. And this track actually really kind of sticks in my head a lot. I don't really have the words super down. I know a good few of them, but a lot of the like just general vocal melody just kind of sticks in my head. I feel it does go on a little bit too long though. I think maybe that's generally my meh for it. Though I do really like Mike ending the song by saying that he's going to go get a cup of coffee and then leaving. 8 out of 10. This track ends with a man shitting. It's overlaid by Colonel Sanders messing up a line, lemon lime.
Welcome to a food.
why wanna life in a cracky evil kitchen and like a rub and some curve, everybody get a set of host thing on, wrap an egg all around my wall. Tell them about the supercity to ping my pong in the ways that whenever you push and I tell you about the rhythm, it's mine and delicious. Keep blowing my gun, cause here I come. Gonna get you all sick with the bubble, yeah.
Ah, yes. Squeeze me macaroni. This song is Mike Patton flexing on his ability to use double entendres while also just kind of rapping, sort of. Just kind of singing as fast as he possibly can. The song is so stupid. It's as many food sex jokes can you tie together, but also some scatological scat. Though, that being said, I really love this song. It feels like it could almost be a Chili Peppers song, which I'm not saying the Chili Peppers would make a song like this, but something about Mike's delivery really gives me those Cadillac vibes. It's just, maybe it's just a Southern California thing. We both kind of have that, just overall, I think the song instrumentally is great. It's mixing the funk and rock of Mr. Bungle together into a McFlurry with an extra scoop of shit. This song starts out the trend of using Blue Velvet clip, which comes after all of the chaos of people screaming about parties and threatening to kick your ass. This song takes the Carnival themes and like actually just cranks it up to 100. The song is funky. The guitar and the horn really give it this Carnival type feel. It's generally just this. It definitely feels like something you would hear at a carnival. I remember reading somewhere that Mr. Bungle actually classified themselves as clown metal around this time, and by God, if this isn't the clownest of metal I've ever heard, I especially really like the breakdown where everything kind of slows down. It almost has this, I don't know, the sound effects kind of make me think about Final Fantasy. Also, the line "Will Warner Brothers put our record on the shelf?" is here, and I think it's really funny how they slip it in. In the liner notes, it's not actually written out. It's replaced with the line "Look at me, I'm Sandra Dee," which is definitely not what he says on that line. 9 out of 10.
Rotten from the inside over, incubated by the heat of thriller. The soft's coagulated. Hey.
This song is about eggs. The concept, the general eggy. It's kind of all encompassing. They'll actually go on to do this again with things like platypuses. The song is really something, though. From the start, Mike brings in this growl with the lyrics. This song is this underlying feeling of what almost feels like alien invasion behind it. Nope, we stick with eggs. And frogs, which don't lay eggs. I'm also very partial to the lyrics.
I can see to differentiate between the yellow love you give and the wild sex I take. I just want to fertilize you.
I think that's probably one of my favorite lines. I don't know why, it sticks out tremendously. Phenomenal song. 10 out of 10. Of course, I couldn't talk about the song without the ending, and that is one of the big reasons why this is a 10 out of 10 too, because it goes into the sing-songy tone of the phrase, "There's no place like home." And it fakes you out so much. There's so much build up. Everyone just kind of goes insane. Mike literally just kind of breaks down. I've really learned there's no place like home. Also, the ending bit is pretty low, but it's the group talking about their experience jumping off of a train. Dangerous. Don't do that, kids. Don't jump off a train. Also, Mario beat the level, so that's good for him.
And if you can hear me, then throw up. Give me a sign. Throw a stick. You bring it back. Roll over and die. You taught me a lesson, Mama. Thanks, Mom!
This song goes from being the most beautiful song about losing a pet to immediately spitting and dancing on its grave. Still, the introduction to the song does so much. I love how the lyrics change from each time we hear it. From the dog going from puppy to family, then from family to memory, and as they put her into the ground, gone. Supposedly this song is about Trey's dog Stubb, who passed away. This song is genuinely sweet, even if it does feel like spit on the grave almost. This track instrumentally almost sounds like an Oingo Boingo track. Maybe that's a synth, or how Mike has this almost Danny Elfman way of singing. Another thing I really love especially is the second breakdown, with Mike putting on this Elvis sounding voice, talking about a dog Rastafari. Another 10 out of 10. Thanks, Mom. This one ends with another clip from Blue Velvet, with the protagonist weeping. Fitting for a song about a dead dog.
It's not funny, my ass is on fire.
Starting out with this janky guitar riff that I always picture this big-ass clown walking around to this song with. This song is the metal version of a fuck you to everyone who essentially turned metal into generic acts of violence and simple lyrics.
Metallica.
It still rocks, but there's almost this feeling of not even the band knows what's going on. It ends the heaviest, with Mike repeating the words redundant over and over ad nauseum. It loses all meaning as the guitars and instruments, hell, even the other band members simply turn into nothing more than just noise. Vocally, Mike kills it on this track, and I think my favorite part would definitely be when he screams just that. It sent shivers down my spine. He sounds so pissed. Like my dad came home and found out I'd been doing nothing but smoking pot and eating Pop-Tarts in my underwear. This track goes hard, and its message is just so understated while also being front and center. Fucking amazing track. 10 out of 10. This song ends with a clip from a porno, which leads well into the next song, which is... This is my first song I could honestly give or take, but really it does nothing with the trope of loser jerks off all day. If I had to pick a perfect loser jerks off song, it would definitely be Longview by Green Day. Back to this one though. Instrumentally, this song definitely feels like a porno song, with that bass line coming straight from a 70s porno. I think everything here is really alright. We get a brief idea of this guy essentially pushing away all actual sexual encounters just to simply look at porn. He expresses some of his fetishes and they're not very squeaky clean. This song isn't god-awful, but it's not my favorite either. 6 out of 10. Like I said, not god-awful, but really not too much to write home about. If you'd really want to write home about it, what would your mother think? Oh, it's the ending to the whole train jumping thing, and the band comes across a man who is belligerently drunk and screaming at his child. Lovely.
Emotions round my feel my heartbeats. Oh, man, you're hitting.
Another song that's not super duper high on my list. It's alright, but it's definitely almost feels like a holdover from the early metal days. Instrumentally, it's the same. It really doesn't stand out that much. I think the concept they're going for is kind of intriguing, coming at an introspective angle for domestic violence, but they really don't answer anything other than just making references to beating your spouse. I think they go on to perfect this song with Violenza Domestica from Disco Volante. That song is really good, though. It's another song I really just generally skip. Nothing against it. It's just, I don't know. It comes at a very weird part of that album. I'll get into it later. Overall, probably the lowest point of the album, actually. 4 out of 10. This song ends with the guy who started this all. That's right, it's Mr. Bungle from the one after school special about how to not be a savage. It's funny, I actually heard about this special long before the band because Doug Walker tried to do this Mystery Science Theater 3000 ripoff and use this as a basis. It's funny, link in the description. Autoerotic Asphyxiation, the song. Yeah, this is Mike pulls out this really weird voice for this one. It paints this picture of just some random loser who's gone a bit too close to the sun. He's playing with his life, and it's the only way he can get off. Choking himself out while wearing his mom's underwear on his face. Though, as it happens, today really isn't like the rest. Whether it be he's getting too used to this or just generally bad luck, he kicks the chair out from under him and he ends up choking to death. The instrumentality around this point actually gets super duper spacey, and you can hear the creak of the rope as our narrator dangles lifelessly, waiting for mommy to come home and find him. And instrumentally, this song goes back and forth between the actual song with this bouncy feeling that we can take as the narrator. Yeah. When he kicks the chair, the instruments turn super duper panicked, speeding up and starting and stopping. It's got this haunting sound of danger that just triggers your fight or flight. It shakes me. It's almost like siren-like because the guitars are very... The ending of the song, however, is beautiful, being almost like the narrator, even though he's passed, moving on to heaven or the afterlife, with his spirit being at ease. Or maybe it's just his jizz draining out as well as his other bodily fluids. This song is super fucked up, but to end the album, I honestly couldn't think of anything else. It's really, it puts this, I don't know, beautiful nail in this fucking dead clown's coffin. 10 out of 10.
Mr. Bungle pushed everyone aside and went right to the front. Even though this made the children laugh, no one thought that was a fair thing to do.
Wow. That was a roller coaster ride. I honestly really love Mr. Bungle. I have all of their albums, and they're in my top 5 bands of all times, right beside System of a Down, Linkin Park, and Ween. They've got this place amongst the best. They really do. They stand. I realized I put this on backwards. Overall, though, this album is great, with only a few stinkers near the end, but generally it pretty well redeems itself with the whole ending. It's great. And that's why my final rating for this album is an 8 out of 10. Definitely put this on if you want to, feel Carnival.
I'm gonna get a cup of coffee.